So let's get to the serve. I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction. The serve is the most difficult shot in tennis. However, it is the most important shot in tennis. In fact, it's so difficult and so important that we have two chances to put the ball in. So that already tells you a lot. Also, it is the only shot in this sport that has no external factors other than maybe wind. You're the one tossing it and you're the one hitting it. So the toss is the most important part of the serve. Think about it this way. The most difficult shot in tennis is the serve. And the most difficult part of the serve is the toss. So a simple movement as holding the ball in your non-dominant hand and tossing it in the right place with the right height is probably the most difficult thing to do in our sport, which is kind of mind-boggling because it's such a simple movement, such a simple gesture, but it's not easy. You see all kinds of tosses way too high, over your head, way too far in front, to the right, to the left. Even worse, you mix it up as you play your match or as you play your tennis. Keep it in the same place every time, and I'm going to teach you where you should toss the ball, with what height you should toss the ball, and how you can get it repetitive and consistent, as well as every other aspect of the serve, where the arm should go, the left hand, the racket, and all that.
We'll go through everything. Yeah, the interesting thing about the toss and the serve, and serve is, like you said, it's the only shot that you control. It's like you're going on a golf course and you're hitting a ball. There's no real factors that influence you. No opponent is trying to hit you. You also have two different ones. You have a mulligan on your serve, so you can actually do a second one. However, that is the shot that many pros also get the yips on. Like, they start struggling with their technique. We've seen Sara Errani famously hit like millions of double faults in a match and like starts almost underhanding all of them. Sabalenka, huge serve, had big issues with it. Zverev, huge serve, had big issues with it. Because it's a shot with so many different elements to it, it's very easy to have one element start going a little bit wrong, and you have to troubleshoot. What am I doing wrong? Why is the ball hitting the top of the net? Why am I hitting it long? And that is tricky. And it could be the toss. As you said, there's so many different ways of tossing the ball. But it's also one of the things that you can practice at home or outside or on the court, and you could bring a basket of balls and record yourself and try to improve it. But I think you will benefit from some technical tips here in this video. So we'll get into the other parts beyond the toss.
Vamos, come. First of all, let's touch base on the grip. What grip to use on the serve? It is the continental grip, okay? Or we can call it the hammer grip. It's a little bit more childish way of saying it, so the kids understand, but sometimes it also makes us adults understand better too. So hammer grip, okay? My knuckle is on this flat part of the racket. The V of my hand is on this part, okay? Continental grip. We have players like Raonic, I also believe Berrettini, they even go this way, which I find kind of crazy. It is possible, it does make sense, but it's a crazy pronation shoulder movement. I don't advise it. I mean, don't go there if you don't need to go there. Keep it neutral, okay? Again, same thing as on the forehand, on the backhand. Have the grip that's easiest to do when you're forced, when you're under pressure, when you're running, when you're in defense. Of course, on the serve, there's no such thing as defense, but there is such thing as pressure moments, okay? Deuce points, break points against you, set point against you on your serve, match point, all these pressure moments. And you want to have a very neutral grip that is not like out of the ordinary to kind of achieve what you want to achieve when it comes to the moment of serving that point. Okay, so that's the grip. Number two, I always like to talk neutral. I want the easy way of positioning myself. I'm not going to tell you to position like McEnroe. It is possible, of course, but I'm going to teach you quite neutral way. I think is easy to repeat, therefore easier to be consistent when you practice it. Let's keep our foot in a roughly 45-degree angle and our right foot parallel to the baseline. So now we have 45 degree and 180 degree or 0 degrees, okay? I think that's very repeatable. You look down on your feet and you can quickly say, I have the right position. Where your right goes. I like to do this. Either my right toe and my left toe are in line, or my right toe and my left heel are in line, somewhere between that position. Okay? Somewhere between there is fine. You're not facing basically backwards and you're not facing forward. Anywhere between that margin, you're in a good position. How wide should your feet be? What is comfortable for you? It also depends a lot if you have a pinpoint stance or a platform stance. Platform stance is what Federer used to serve. He has his feet in one position throughout the entire movement, and then there's a pinpoint stance where you put your feet together and then go into the shot. I would say that platform stance is more repeatable, more stable, because you don't have the factor of coordinating your legs as well as your toss, as well as your racket. There's less going on. You're taking away one factor when you just have a normal platform stance. You kind of eliminate your feet or what your feet are up to during your serve. All you need to worry about is just bending and jumping. Cons about the platform stance that you don't maybe have so much power. It's more difficult to toss the ball, or to hit the ball further in front. You don't have so much forward momentum. On the pinpoint stance, you can stand a little bit closer, a little bit wider, but when you come here, you can toss the ball a little bit more in front. You can go and look for the ball a little bit more, toss it more in front, contact it more in front. You have a little bit more drive back to front, so you have more power, but the coordination is a whole lot more difficult. If you're learning, I advise you to go for the platform stance. If you've already been doing pinpoint stance, go ahead and do it. There's nothing wrong with it. It does take a little bit more coordination work to get used to, but if you can do it, go for it. There's no reason why not. Make sure your stance is always the same to the centimeter, okay? Just try to muscle memorize your position and repeat it, kind of like brushing your teeth every morning and every night. Something you look down and you find your position. Far too often I see someone walking up to the line, not even paying attention to how they're standing, but then you're always standing a little bit different, and it's very hard to hit the ball always the same when you're always doing something a little bit different. Make sure from this position, which is what you can really control, whether how sunny it is, how windy it is, how bright the light is in your indoor courts, doesn't really matter. How you're standing shouldn't be affected whatsoever. So really make sure that this is the first part, and your first part is pitch perfect every single time. When you walk up to the line, your feet are in position, 45-degree more or less. Make this foot parallel to the line. Second is look at your spot and take your time. Use your routine. You see this in every sport. In tennis, Rafa had some crazy tics where he used to itch his underwear and his nose and his hair. But I tell you that that's because of a routine. It's a routine that worked for him. It's like when between points he's at a red light, and then when he does all this, it's turning on the green light for him to go for it. I'm sure that if we forget to do it, his whole point will be affected because he's so used to it. So he just
part
went ahead and do it all
superstition,
the time.
part a system for him to calm himself.
Yeah.
You also have people like Djokovic and Zverev. They're pretty good at bouncing the balls. There are a few guys that bounce many times, a lot of bounces. And that's also like preparing, getting into rhythm. Maybe you count how many bounces. Like I'm doing 12 bounces, or it's everything to have a repetitive thing that you can do over and over again to get you in the like match ready focus.
Get you in the moment, get you in the zone. You see it in every sport. You see, Cristiano Ronaldo with his free kicks. He did I don't know how many steps back, and then he puts his hands on his hips, does a big breath, and then goes for it. And same in golf. You see the best golf players, they have exactly the same routine. And even if you time them, I tell you that they're not far off every single time. They take the exact same time from a certain point until they putt or until they drive or whatever, is the same time. And same goes to tennis. So have a routine that works for you. Don't just go up and rush. That's basically what I'm trying to tell you. Walk up to the line, take your time, and it's all in your hands from this shot. First thing, you want to lean over your left foot, over your left leg, okay? You lean over it basically because it makes your center of gravity on one side, and you have kind of your body weight moving forward. And I tell you this because you'll see later on that we're going to have a little bit of a pendulum where you go back and then forward again. So I just want to tell you this. So you're going to say, why do I need to lean forward? Because by leaning forward, you create the pendulum, you create some energy going back to then go forward, okay? So you lean forward. I like to bounce the ball 3 times. 3 times is my favorite number. I'm born on the 3rd day of the month, so I like 3. So I bounce 3, no more, no less, always the same. Okay, I like to point, not point exactly in the square because then I'm telling my opponent where I'm serving. I just point at the square, not at the certain point in the square. I don't want to give away any information to my opponent. I point, and that's when I lean back, I come forward, I have a pinpoint stance, and jump and finish, okay? I'm going to go into every aspect of the serve in a second. Now that we've covered the grip and all the preparation work, now comes the technical things, the difficult things. We can stand here probably hours doing this video because serve is so technical, so much coordination, but let's try to gather it in a video, and maybe we can do a part 2, part 3, and part 10 if necessary later on. Number 1 is you want to have same pendulum. Pendulum helps you so much, okay? Look at my racket. I'm not forcing it back. I kind of bring it a little bit higher, not super high, but I like to bring it up to here because when I take my foot back from this position and I let go with my left hand, I let go of my racket, this is creating energy going back. I'm not forcing, I'm not doing anything. And since it's dropping back, then I use that momentum to come up to this position. We can call this trophy position. Many trophies are designed like this. Your elbow should never be lower than your shoulder. You can try to use a shadow. Now we're in the middle of the day, so I don't have a very good shadow for me as reference, or look at yourself in the mirror. You can use your toothbrush, and anyway, whatever it is. Elbow never below your shoulder. If you're below your shoulder, that means that your elbow on impact needs to go from down to up, and you're losing momentum, you're losing swing. Think about it this way. We used to be hunter-gatherers thousands and thousands of years ago, and we used to throw rocks at our prey. When we used to throw rocks, if you throw a ball or a rock, naturally you're going to see yourself in this position. It's the same. The serve comes from the same position. I switch this by this, and I throw. It's the same. You can even mimic yourself tossing a ball. Look at yourself in the mirror, how you would toss a ball, and repeat it with the racket. It should be as similar as possible. That's going to help you so much already. How you take the racket back. Use the momentum to drop, come up, and when you come up with your elbow, this area, you bend, okay, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. The bottom of the racket should then drop down, out, forward, okay, and that's when I find my easy flat contact face. From here, either I can slice or I can pronate to make sure I get more power on my flat serve, and I come down, okay? So get your trophy position. Trophy position, we don't want to do the waiter. I see this very often, especially with young kids that don't have the strength yet. Us adults, we do have the strength. We just need to work on correcting our technique. Let's get ourselves in this position, not the waiter or the pizza man or however you want to call it. Let's make our racket in this position, trophy position. And then the bottom of our racket, the bottom frame, drops down, out, and the out comes from unit turn, out and forward. If I would toss the ball, it would be the same. From here, I go down, out, and forward. Use that momentum. Notice how I say the word momentum very often, because the serve is a lot of momentum. You don't need to use momentum, but if you don't take advantage of momentum, your pace, your power, your consistency is going to go way down. You're going to be a little bit robotic, a little bit too forceful. Let the racket swing. Okay, use momentum coming down, use that momentum to come back up, use this momentum to go back down and around and hit the ball, swing at the ball. Use all that energy that you accumulate throughout the entire swing to go for it.
Yeah, I think the serve is one of those, I mean, you use the kinetic chain of the body to maximize your power and your consistency and all these things in tennis. I think the serve is like the strongest example of that, because like you can serve so loosely, and like if you have the wrong technique, whether it's weight or tray or just bad like toss and so on, and then you can see the guys on the ATP tour that serves like 230 kilometers per hour or around there, and you see like what a difference in kilometers per hour and in depth and pace that using the chain properly can make. So
Yeah.
it's a fascinating shot, but it's a difficult one.
The chain also, it helps if we have a loose arm, a loose body. If I simply hold the racket tighter, I already feel like I cannot do.
Yeah, being stressed or tense. Yeah,
Exactly, intense. I lose momentum because I'm kind of locked in place and I need to force every movement. Start with hold the racket loose. I remember I had a coach for a very long time. Credits to Pablo Arraya. If you ever watched this, maybe you guys know who he was. He was a good pro back in the day. He always used to tell me, hold the racket like you would hold a bird. Not so tight that you squeeze it, but not so loose that it flies away. And that really, really helped me. He did tell me this when I was a young kid, and I liked that metaphor. It really helped me, and I'm going to share it to you guys. Hold the racket like you would hold a bird. Not so tight, but also not loose enough that it would fly away. That balance will help you to hold the racket in place, but at the same time have a very easy movement. Okay, back to technical aspects. We've touched on how to take the racket back. There are, I would say, two main ways to take the racket back or up, and there is a third one that I will also mention. But the two main one is either a full swing or a shortened swing. A little bit like Alcaraz has a shorter swing, Federer was a little bit more open. Both work, okay? I see tennis transitioning more and more into a shorter swing, more compact, because it's faster, it's more explosive. The ball is less time in the air, so the opponent has kind of less time to read what you're going to do. The more of a big swing you have, you need to toss the ball a little bit higher, so physically your racket has enough time to do all that movement to get to the contact point. But now more and more, shorter swings, more compact swings equals more precise and more repeatable. Same with the forehand. Big swing is very difficult to contact the point here, but if I take back and hit, it's much more simple, it's much smaller, much easier to repeat. Same on the serve. If I do all this, it's more difficult than if I just go up and hit. I believe Holger Rune also have a very compact swing. Alcaraz, more and more, the modern game style is going towards a more shorter and more compact swing. Another very important part is be sideways before you start, because when you prepare, you want your hips to be looking that way. Even many pros to get extra power, but again, these are pros, they practice a lot and they have extra mobility, extra strength also through fitness and whatnot, that their hips are even facing backward to get more of a hip drive forwards. But we can go with our hips looking that way and make it twist. 90 degrees is good enough to get that little extra rotation, that extra power from the axis of our body, the center of gravity and the axis to turn. Okay, the turn creates momentum, inertia, power, and so on. Last thing is the toss. Okay, I saved the best for last. Many different ways to toss the ball. I recommend keep the ball not on your palm, okay, because when I let go of my fingers, I kind of lose control of what the ball is doing. keep it here and I open. Keep it on these parts of your finger and 5 fingers on the ball, okay? Practice this. When you're tossing the ball, how many of you, or maybe after I say this, then you can comment if you do this or not. When you toss the ball, you flick the fingers and you see the ball spinning in the air. You toss and you flick. Look, my ball is spinning. Try this. Much more difficult than what it looks like. Toss and have the ball to not spin in the air. Okay, allow yourself that the ball rotates, okay, but not spin. There's a difference between, let's say, rotate is at a slow, okay, it's not going to affect your impact, or spinning quickly. Practice it. There, that one just rotated ever so slightly. That one hardly moved. Okay, that's very difficult to do, but if you master that, it's going to help your toss significantly, because you're not going to have any flick on any direction that's going to affect if your ball's going to go behind you or in front of you or anywhere else. Keep your ball as steady as possible in the air. Okay, number 2, you want to toss the ball. Look at this. Can you stand behind me, Jonas?
Yep.
I am right-handed, so just mirror this if you are left-handed. I want to contact the ball in front. As I did mention before, the racket comes down, out, and forward. And I contact the ball above my right shoulder. So that means that I need to toss the ball in front of my right shoulder. If I do this, I keep my axis totally straight, okay, like a column, like a pillar. I am very strong like this, but I am not so strong like this. I can already feel my lower back is in tension. I can feel my obliques here are in stress. They are kind of holding. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here, but if I am totally straight, I feel like I can be in this position for ever so long because I feel stable. I'm like a pillar. So I'll toss the ball in front of your right, that was not good, in front of your right shoulder, and that's going to be perfect position to contact the ball the neatly and the more organized and in the best way possible. If you toss the ball over your left shoulder, you'll be looking a little bit like this, and if you toss it even more, you'll be way over here. And the same over to your right, you're going to be twisting your axis, and you lose quality. You lose quality, okay? Second thing, I'm going to ask you to stand there now, Jonas, please.
I'm doing all the work here.
Contact point. If I toss the ball behind me, that way, look at my strings where they're facing. They're facing up towards the sky, slightly, but it is up towards the sky. If I contact the ball here, hitting it as hard as I can, my ball's going to go onto the road that's behind the club. If I hit it above my head, right above my head, it's going to go long, okay? Maybe somewhere between the baseline and the service line, because my contact point is too straight. A little bit in front, I think, is perfect, because the angle is slightly downwards. That means that if with practice, of course, it's going to be landing in the square. But if I throw it too far in front, that ball's going to go to the net. Okay, so your margin is somewhere between in front of you, but not too far in front of you. How do we practice this? I'm going to put my racket, okay, I'm going to put the head of my racket on the inside of the line. Okay, I like to use that as a reference. I put my toe in this corner. It also allows me to practice the 45-degree angle of my left. I want to toss without my, without the ball spinning. And good, first go. And practice again. Okay,
You've done this before.
That was pretty good. Much more difficult than what it looks like. You're gonna see yourself maybe, I mean, if you can do it, that's really good, then you're ready to go for it. If you're tossing the ball and it's landing on the right side, on the left side, maybe even on the green, which is not good at all, or in front, keep practicing. Okay, keep practicing until you master it. Every day, use 5-10 minutes. You can do this probably in your garden, in your patio, in your garage, maybe even in your room, anywhere. You don't need much space at all. What I do recommend is throw the ball at the height that you would throw it on your serve. Okay, very often I do this exercise to some of my students or some of my clients, and they go, it's like, no, that's not the point. The point is to practice to toss the ball up and have it land where you want it to land. Okay, there, I should have stopped on the others, but no, but you get the point. It's on my right side and it's a little bit in front. If I can master that, I should find my sweet contact point. Last part that I want to talk about is when I toss the ball, when you're practicing the toss of the ball, keep your left hand up until you hear the ball bounce. Okay, so boom, and that's when I catch. Or I can look at the ball also because I do want to know where it lands, but keep your left hand up. Why is that? Because when it comes to serving, very often I see the left hand coming down too soon. There's no attention, there's no emphasis in keeping the left hand up. Keeping the left hand up creates stability, also accumulates power. And when you're going to hit, the last thing that happens is your left hand pulls down to then activate your right side. Okay, action, reaction. My action is pulling my left down, and thanks to my action, the reaction will be that the racket comes along right afterwards. Okay, if you're seeing yourself, okay, you lose the kinetic chain, as Jonas was talking about. You lose the kinetic chain, you lose the momentum. Keep your left hand up as long as possible. Keep, and then pull. Keep, and then pull and swing. That's going to help you to be more consistent, more stable. You're also going to serve much harder because you're keeping it there, and you're not only focusing on swinging at the ball, you're actually pulling to swing, and you're going to create so much more racket head speed on impact. And that being said, when you pull the left arm down, you want to pull it into your tummy. Into your tummy. It keeps you in one unit. If you pull it out, you can either overturn, you kind of lose control of where your left hand is. Again, you need to focus so much on both your sides of the body. Although you're righty and you're hitting with your right, or you're lefty hitting with, but have control also about what your other side is doing. Make your whole body be one unit. Pull and keep it into your body so your body knows exactly where it is. Finish. And then there's people like Andy Murray that would do exactly like this and then let go of the hand and it will go back. Although now in modern times you don't see that so often, okay? That's kind of diminishing, to kind of use your left hand to go all the way back. Also, if you do that, it takes more time to recover and put your hands together again. If I bam and then bam and I'm ready immediately. It's faster, more repeatable, and I think it helps. But if you do go back with your left, it's fine also. There's different ways to do it. There's not one right way, but there's always a way that makes it a little bit easier and more repeatable for you. And the last part of the serve is obviously the landing after the serve. Very important to land definitely in front of where you're standing, okay? It can happen, I've seen many times, people that are learning tennis or even pretty advanced in tennis, that they do everything correctly, but then when they jump, they go and they land behind from where they were. Not good, okay? Also, that can very often be because their toss is above their head, like we talked about, so then they need to jump back to kind of create that angle that we want to get it over the net. But then your margins are slimmer because you want to, the closer you are, the easier it is. But if I have to jump backwards to hit it forwards, there's too much going on. Make sure you're landing in front because it makes sure that your body weight is moving forward, whether you're in pinpoint or also you're in platform, although platform is more difficult to land even further in front, but still, even on platform, you want to be landing inside the line. If you're pinpoint, you can go even more, okay? And you want to land in front of. The further in front, the better. Let's be sensible. You don't need to jump as far as you can, then that's counterproductive. But something that is just inside, make sure that you have your body weight moving forward, that your contact point is in the right place, and that follows up with landing inside the court. the scorpion leg. Scorpion leg helps you so much, okay, to make sure that you're impulsing with your right leg also. Very often I see you're jumping, let's say, 70% left and 30% right, more or less, or 80-20 or 60-40. Let's try to make it 50-50. You're stronger with two legs. Try making a press up, I was going to say, no, a squat with one leg. You're going to lift less than if you have two legs. It's quite logical. Use both legs 50-50, and when you push, make sure that your right is pushing also, and if you land with the scorpion leg that's way back and way up, that's really going to have you know that you did push off with both. Push, you come down with the right, and then the right is what's going to push you back immediately. Okay, if I go normal space, bam, 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 and then I'm in position right away. And I want to give you an extra piece of advice before we finish this course. Last piece of advice is serve on impact. You're looking towards the ball, and keep your chin looking up and then straight, not down and then look up. You're going to very often miss in the net. I see it all the time. Keep your chin up, bam, and then you look forward. But in no moment did I go down and then up. And how to help you with that is, of course, focus on looking upwards and then straight. And keep your chest as high as possible throughout this entire movement. Although, of course, your arm is coming down and everything is going down as you're serving, but have the feeling that you're keeping the chest up. If you close your chest or have your chest looking down, the rest is going to go down. Have your chest wide open, bam, bam. And I felt like my chest was high there. Now the moment of truth. Now I need to try to put together everything that I taught you. I need to try to do myself.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm joking. It should
and you
go
only
all
have
right.
one ball, otherwise then no.
No, but I should be all right. The serve is not my best shot. However, what does save me, and I want to tell you guys this because, of course, when you're a big guy with long levers and long arms, long legs, of course you have so much power in your serve that you get a lot of free points on your serve. That's not my case. I am just below 180 tall. I don't know what that is in feet.
So 5'10"?
Perhaps, I
Yeah.
have no clue.
I think 5'10".
But that being said, I've needed to rely on other things on my serve, and I just wanted to tell you that there are other ways. Practice your precision, practice your spins, practice being just as comfortable serving wide or tee, and mix it up also with body. Usually big servers, they have their spot that they're better at, and maybe they serve 80% to that spot, okay, and then the other 20 to the other spot. But I've really made sure through all my growing days that I was practicing the same amount on wide and body and tee. And the day of today, when I play my matches, I know that my opponent has no idea where he's serving. When he's standing to return, I want him to have a feeling that I don't know if he's going to go there or here or there. And that's what I rely on my serve. It's how I get my free points. I don't get it from KPH or MPH. I get it more on keeping my opponent guessing, and also sometimes I'll go T with slice, but then the next time I'll go T but flat, and then same thing, I can go body with slice or even flat, or wide I can also go slice or flat, really mixing it up, because then my opponent doesn't only have 3 directions of the serve can come at him, as well as those 3, or if I slice it, it's going to spin and go that way, or spin and come into the body, or spin to the backhand and then come into the body, if it's on the tee. But it can also go flat where it's straighter. Okay, so it just really makes the opponent difficult to understand or to read and to understand the pattern. In fact, I have no pattern. I just make sure that I make different every single time. And it helps me a lot, and I wanted to tell you because it can also be your superpower.
Good point. Like, I think placement of the serve is underrated. Like, it's as among club players, it's all about testosterone and like hitting as hard as you can.
Yeah.
But having a smartly placed serve, like a body serve, can be very tricky.
Yeah.
Understanding where your opponent has problems returning, whether it's on the backhand or the forehand, depends. If he struggles more with the kick, The kick is very, very efficient
kick is
serve.
very efficient,
If he
yes.
struggles more with the slice. So being smart about your serve is more important than getting the MPH or the kilometers per hour. I think definitely is something to think about. And training all your different serves, putting maybe cans out, some targets, trying to hit them. It's quite a fun way to practice, and it's going to help you a lot when you get into the match zone, because then the muscle memory needs to be there. You need to have hit this serve quite a few times to know that, okay, second serve, I can slice it to his backhand, I can hit a kick, I can do all these things. And
Yes.
having all the serves in your arsenal is going to help so much.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. I didn't mention kick when I was talking just now, and you're absolutely right. The kick is just as important because the ball has a whole other spin. Also, your opponent will return the ball at a whole different height. It's usually way up higher than a slice or a flat. The kick is bouncing higher. Very difficult to learn. I think maybe a kick serve we can do in a
Separate video.
in a whole separate video, because the kick serve is a whole other motion. You're coming from back, from up, from down to up. You're contacting it not on the highest point, you're contacting it at a lower point. It's a whole other serve. So I won't even do it now. I'll just stick to more regular serves. We'll do kick in another, if you ask for it, if there's demand for it.
Yeah, it's a good serve for club players, and I definitely think in the future we should look at it, but it's not a part of the fundamentals that we're working on today.
Yeah.
So we'll cover it later on. Let me
Yeah.
know which serve is your favorite in the comments: slice, kick, or flat,
And why?
and why. That's a good one. Okay,
I
so
want to add one little thing, Jonah, sorry.
Yeah.
I want to add one little thing. Height of the toss, something I did not mention when we were talking back there, but I will mention now because I can't end today's session without talking about the height of the ball. I don't know how often I hear toss the ball higher, or even the kids that I'm working with, the parents are saying, my kid needs to toss the ball higher.
it's the number
How
one tip
high?
that
No.
people give.
It kind of maybe makes them feel like they know something. No, I don't know. Look, my point of view, using my common sense, my logic is the following. I want to contact the ball at my highest point possible. In my case is straight arm. Have a look at this. My shoulder now, I'm going to go up with my shoulder. So I just reach even further. And I know that when I jump, I'm getting off at least 10, 15 centimeters higher. Okay? So I'm going to use this fence as a reference. Okay? I'm here, straight arm. Okay? I'm going to straighten my shoulder so I get even higher. And if I jump, boom. Okay, so a little bit, I would say below the fence, top of the fence.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to try again. Yeah.
Yeah, you're reaching up to the metal bar there, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. But that's with the top of the frame. But my center of my sweet spot is even below.
Of course, that's very good to point out. Like, you're trying to hit the middle of the racket. You're not trying to hit the top of the racket.
Yes. So my advice to you, what's the point of throwing the ball 5 meters up if your contact point is always going to be as high as you can? Okay. Yeah. In fact, the higher I throw, the more time I have to wait. Your eyes are not designed to judge how fast something is falling from the sky, and also it's hard to judge, is it moment to hit it now, or is it now, or is it now? Like, it's very difficult. My advice to you is find a reference point. I'm going to use the fence for this video. I know more or less my spots, okay, and I'm going to practice throwing the ball to that exact spot. Look, that was a little bit too low. There we go, that was perfect. And I practice that. Good. That's 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row. Okay, practice that. Practice your height. And you want to toss the ball to that height. And when the ball gets to that height, boom, moment to hit it. No need to toss the ball higher, Okay, I agree, toss the ball higher if you throw it this high, or even this high, but there's no need to throw the ball
Like Delbonis,
so
you know,
high.
Delbonis throws it higher than the Eiffel Tower, right?
Even
like
Zverev throws the ball extremely high, and I mean, he's a tall guy. At the end of the day, he's practiced so much, so he does have a good serve. But then he has days that he misses a lot of first serves, and
One thing I wanted to point out as well is, like, the higher the toss, the more you're opening up for wind, right? So if you're playing in bad winds,
Also.
you're throwing up the ball, you're going to have a lot of movement. That doesn't mean you have to be the shortest toss ever, because I think a medium-high ball, like Adri illustrates, is the best way to get power and get consistency. However, doing it, throwing it so high, might take the wind, might add light issues like with floodlights or with the sun. So there are downsides with throwing it higher than you need to, for sure.
And also the speed of the ball when it's dropping, to then time it perfectly with your impact. and then if I hit it here, or if it's dropped too much, I'm hitting it good, but then if it's dropping a little bit further, then I'm not hitting. Throw it to the height that you're going to contact, and then you throw, and then hit the ball on its apex.
Yep.
Okay,
Highest
that's my advice to you on the toss. Throw it in, first of all, in the right place, a little bit in front and in front of your right shoulder, and the height is as high as you will contact it. No higher, no need. And if you're throwing it lower than that, well, then practice to get it a little bit higher to hit it in the don't go higher, no need. Really, it's overcomplicating things. You're just adding more factors than necessary. The coordination is more difficult. It's just a lot of cons, more cons than pros, I would say. So I'm going to walk up to the line. I'm going to use the routine that I always use. Look. Okay. Now, I missed this one a little bit to the right and a little bit long. So as I'm practicing, I have 4 serves to hit. I'm now gonna adjust my serve. As you see, I'm not just serving and then trying again 3 seconds later. I'm using that information in my favor to this time. I'm not gonna try to definitely not miss it right and definitely not miss it long. I want to correct and adjust my serve every time that I serve, and you're gonna improve very quickly if you take your time and take your time to improve and really break down what went wrong and what can I do for it to not happen again. So I'm going to go T again. I'm going to try to not go wide nor long. Okay, so that one landed in the square. In my, for my reference, it was a little bit closer to the center square that I would like. I would like closer to the T, but I'm happy with that one because my previous serve was both. It was wide towards the right and long, but this one was actually in the square, but maybe too much to the left, but at least it was within the service line. So the 2 things that I tried to correct, I corrected it immediately. So I feel good now about my serve because I did 2 things wrong on the last one and I corrected it immediately afterwards. I'm going to go now with the slice serve. Okay, pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, it's the one you go to, right? As a
So,
second serve, you do a lot of slides.
As I got this one correct, the first one, my aim now is to repeat it again twice in a row. Let's see if I'm able to. Good. I think both of them were pretty much identical. I don't think I can get it much closer than that between the 2, so I'm really happy with that. I did the first one mistake, I corrected it immediately, and then the next 2, I got them both the same, so I would say today is a good serving day.
Yeah, exactly, and working with that, building that consistency, being able to hit the target at will is going to make you so much more difficult to play in whatever level you play in tennis, right? Like, because you're having that shot, and the confidence in the serve is so important for your confidence in the rest of the game. So if you start serving badly, that might have a very negative effect on the whole match and on your confidence with other shots. And if you do the opposite, you're serving well, you can build your whole game around that. So it's the serve makes, even if you're not a big server, just having that first serve going in more than going out will give you more confidence. And you see that in the stats with the pro players that, like, if they have a good first serve percentage, does not mean necessarily that they get loads of free points, but they're definitely getting like an advantage, you know, with the serve. And when they're serving below the 50s on the first serve, most cases they lose the match. That something is going wrong then, you know, and that shows how important it is to build the momentum in your whole game, not only the serve.
The serve is a very important pillar for tennis in general. It's a reference level for your game. It's very strange to having a good serving day and to hit the ball bad from elsewhere on the court, and vice versa. It's very strange to be serving bad and then play good from elsewhere on the court. They kind of go hand in hand, I would say. Another thing that I want to mention to all of you watching this: how often is it that you practice serve? Let us know in the comments. Also, how often or during how long time when you're learning to play tennis, you spend, for example, you have 1 hour to play tennis with your friends or your teacher or whoever it is. And bear in mind that serve is the most important shot in this sport. And you spend, with the 1 hour you have to hit with your friends, you spend that whole hour rallying for 40 minutes and playing points for 20. Where's the serve? Okay, I'm sure many of you can relate. Not all of you, maybe some of you are more sensible and actually do practice the serve. But what happens, especially in the beginning stages, is that you improve every aspect of tennis, but your serve, you haven't touched it yet, or very little in comparison to the rest of the shots. And then you get to a certain level with your forehand, your backhand, even your volleys or whatever it is, and then your serve level is so much lower than your forehand, your backhand, volley level. And then you feel embarrassed to even serve in the first place. Or you go to Mar and you say, no, I don't want to play Mar, let's play points underarm. And then that just becomes a habit. Every week, that 1 hour you spend on the court, or those 2 hours you spend on the court, you spend it only rallying and playing points underarm. And the more you get into that cycle, the less you want to serve, because you know that your serve is not on that standard. I advise you, if you're just starting to learn tennis, take your, I would say that if you have 1 hour session, 20 is for serve, 20 minutes are for serve. If you have a 2 hour session, use 30 minutes for serve. Okay, of course you need your forehand, you need your backhand, you need your volleys, you need your movement, all that. But commit and work your serve on par with the rest of your shots, so that all your game can improve, let's say, at the same rate, because it's going to be so much more fun in the long run. Even today, not today, but these days I've been hitting with one client that plays so good. I mean, he's making me have a tough time on the court, he's making me run, he's making me sweat. And then I offered him, let's play some points with serve. No, with serve, no.
Yeah, it's not. He's not alone. I've encountered that quite a few times as well.
So often.
In the club circuit.
It happens so often, because just your serving standard is not as high as the rest, and then you get into that vicious cycle of, no, I'm embarrassed to serve, or no, I don't want to let my practice the serve on par with the rest. Okay?
100%.
For sure. And that's
Thanks.
Valuable tip right there.
Thanks, Coach Adri. You did it again. Hope you liked this
Thank
video,
you guys. And let us know in the comments whatever else you want.
And if we should focus on specific serves like slices and kicks, let us know. We'll do that. Obviously, time is at a premium sometimes, and we try to cover the fundamentals, so you can work on certain things in the serve. And if you have the fundamentals down, you will have a much easier time at mastering the other aspects of slices and kick serves.
Absolutely. And just because I maybe did not mention some detail of the serve, it might not mean that it's the wrong thing to do. It might not mean that I should do it. Doesn't mean that I don't know about it. It just means that it just got forgotten away, or it just didn't get talked about. So if there are any details that you want to ask about, please let us know in the comments. Either I'll try to reply on the comments, or we make a new video. I think logistically is a better idea than replying to absolutely everyone. But please go ahead and comment, because we have time, logistics, and also we have memory. That also plays a big part.
That's important, man. Thanks, Adri.
Thank you.